Okay, welcome to the 22nd session of the Bhagavad Gita with technology interludes for ages 8 and up. Today is the 21st of November. We will start with the review of the last class, which is the sloka from the third chapter. In fact, it's the last sloka that we are going to cover in the third chapter. It's the 38th sloka. So can you read, can you say it aloud? Are you hoping you have memorized the sloka?
Dhoomenaavriyate vahnir yato varso mali.
No. Dhoomenaavriyate vahnir.
Dhoomenaavriyate vahnir
Yadaa darsho malena cha.
yata darsho malena cha yatol veno vrito karpa tata tena idam avrutam.
Avrutam. Dhoomenaavriyate vahni yada darsho malena cha. Yadolbena vruto garbhat tadate ena tadate idamavrutam. Right? So this tells you how the desire covers the knowledge. And we also talked about how the human form of life is a chance for the any entity to escape the to correct deficiencies. So human form, this human life is is a tool for changing the soul. So even gods, vasus, when they make mistakes, they come to earth to change themselves. We all know the story of the 8 vasus, right? The 8 elemental gods. They're called elemental gods, 8 vasus. They made a mistake in the heaven, in the world of the gods, and they had to come down.
Bhishma and his
Yeah, Bhishma and his brothers, basically. They had to come to the earth and take a human form to get rid of their desires. So human form is this human life is a very powerful tool for the souls to reform themselves, to even the divine souls take on the human form to refine themselves, to correct their mistakes. So, so only in the human form of life one can conquer the enemies such as lust and greed and desire. Like these 8 vasus could not control their desire when they were in heaven, when they were in the God, when they were in the presence of God. So that is the reason why they had to come to the earth, take life as human beings. And one of them, Bhishma, continued to live for a very long time.
Right, he's Arjuna's great grandfather.
Yes, he is his grandfather. In relation, he is grandfather. Not biological, but in relation, he is the grandfather. So, how do you control greed? How do you control desire? How do you control all this Maya that is God's creation?
God's Maya.
Yeah, it's all God's Maya. So, how do you control it? That is the main thing. This sloka tells you that desire is bad, that it envelopes knowledge, but how do you actually control desire? That is the question.
You control desire by thinking of everything you get as gods, and then you have nothing that's actually yours.
Yeah, we looked at some of those concepts on how to control desire. Lord Krishna in the previous slokas told us how to do it to some extent. But suppose you spot a thief. The thief is taking something, and you just catch him red-handed. What happens?
Then
What does the thief do when you see him from far?
runs.
He runs away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the same thing. You just realize your desires, greed, as thieves or as bad or as Maya, then they automatically disappear. So even in meditation, this was taught by Buddha also, right? Buddha taught us meditation, and even in meditation, if something troubles you, we just observe it and it will go away. Right? Suppose you are in a yoga meditation posture. You're not supposed to move for 1 hour, right? Typically, as long as possible. Buddha did not move for some weeks, right? So in meditation, you have to sit in a steady position for a long time. And suppose you start feeling itchy at some place, what do?
Ignore it.
Yeah, you just observe it. You observe it for some time, it will go away on its own. You try it next time. If you have to sit steady, and if something is annoying you, just observe it and it will go away. Same thing with desires, same thing with greed, same thing with all the bad qualities. You just observe them, realize that they are bad and they are the Maya of God, and they automatically disappear when you observe them. So that is the other uh, other way to control desires. And there's this great story about Lord Shiva burning Cupid, right? Manmada.
Yeah, for disturbing his tenants.
Yeah. So who is Manmada?
The god of love.
The god of love, Cupid. In English, you call him Cupid, right? So he represents desire, basically. Love is basically desire. It stems from desire. And Lord Shiva is a symbolism for meditation, is a symbolism for focus, is a symbolism for auspiciousness. Shiva means auspicious.
The opposite of desire.
Yeah. So Lord Shiva burning Cupid is basically your own meditative mind burning the desire in you. That's the symbolism. When you meditate, when you focus, when you when you're full of auspiciousness, there is no desire. So that's what it means. When you take the form of Shiva, by meditating, by practicing auspiciousness, by focusing on good things, you automatically burn desire. So that's that's the essence of that sloka. So that's the essence of that story. So yeah, with that, this is the last sloka we are going to cover in third chapter. Okay, let us read it all together once, right? Before we move on to the fourth chapter, let us read this sloka all together once, because we fluttered in the beginning, right? So let us do it once. Dhoomenaavriyate vahnir yadha maleന ca yadolbenavruto garbhah तथा नेत्रमावृतम्. So that's an important sloka you'll have to remember, right? Knowledge is engulfed by desire. your knowledge will shine only when you remove the desire which covers the knowledge. So that's the essence of this sloka. With that, let's move to the next chapter. And this chapter is called Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So this is the yoga of the knowledge, the action, and renunciation. Jnana means knowledge, karma means action.
You're going through a new chapter.
Sorry, what was that?
This is a new chapter, right?
Yeah, this is the fourth chapter. We completed Karma Yoga. Now we are moving to Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, which is the fourth chapter.
Sannyasa is the same thing as tyagi, right?
Yeah, sannyasa is like tyagi. It means renunciation, just giving up things, sacrificing, giving up. So this chapter is all about knowledge, action, and renunciation, putting them all together. Yoga is basically uniting all of them with your body, mind, and God. So you can think of it as the yoga of knowledge by renunciation through action. So on one hand, we are talking about renunciation, and the other hand, we are talking about action, right? So there is renunciation in action also. What is the renunciation in action? Can you guess? We already talked about it. So when you take some action, when you do karma, you are supposed to renunciate something. You are supposed to give up something. What is that?
Desire. Desire, yes.
Close, but
Anger.
not exactly.
Anger.
You are supposed to give up something.
Well,
when you
anger, fear, and well, in America, karma is used as something when you get something, it takes away something. So what goes around comes around.
Yeah, that's right. But then there was a sloka in Bhagavad Gita which told us to give up something when we do karma, when we take an action. What is that? Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So what does that? Yeah, you remember the sloka. Good. So karmani. Yes. Good. You remember the sloka. But what is the meaning? What do you have to give up?
So the whole meaning of that sloka was you should not be doing something for the fruits of your actions. Instead, you should do it just to fulfill your duties.
You have right only to the action, but not to the result. Phala means result. So what are you giving up?
Fruit or result?
Yeah, the fruit or the result. So action is perfect when you renounce the result from the action. So, and that is the knowledge. When you are knowledgeable, you tend to renounce the fruit of action. So this is this chapter. Remember the second, that was from the second chapter, right? Karmanyevadhikarasya, or was it the third chapter? So second chapter is kind of summary, and each of these chapters will go in detail. So this chapter goes into the detail of renunciation through action by knowledge. So before going into the chapter, let us look at what famous people have said about Bhagavad Gita. Every chapter, let us try to see what famous people have said about Bhagavad Gita. This is a quote by Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein read the Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, he read the Bhagavad Gita. And he is one of the most intelligent people. He is the most intelligent people to have born on earth till now. I mean, during the see, I mean, during our time at least, right? So Albert Einstein said this: when I read the Bhagavad Gita and reflect about how God created this universe, everything else seems so superfluous. So even superfluous means it's not important. It doesn't seem important. So I mean, Albert Einstein gave us a lot of his inventions are like nothing can beat his inventions, right? Even till today, none of the inventions can beat Albert Einstein, and his IQ was so high. He was the most intelligent person to have been born on Earth during our times.
He's a
In the
really
last 2 or
famous
3,
scientist.
yeah, in the last few centuries at least. And he said that Bhagavad Gita is supreme, right? So India is already known for its spiritual wisdom, right? Everyone respects India for spiritual wisdom. You take Michael Jackson, you take many leaders, many like what is his name, Steve Jobs. Uh, all of them have gone to India for spiritual wisdom. And Bhagavad Gita is universally known as the ultimate knowledge, right? It's a summary of all Vedas. So Bhagavad Gita is appreciated by many world personalities. We are going to look at some of those quotations with every chapter. So this is the first one by Albert Einstein. Okay, let us get into the sloka. The first sloka we are going to cover in chapter 4 is the 7th sloka. So this is chapter 4 and this is the 7th sloka. And this is also a very powerful sloka. So it says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham. So what does it mean? Whenever there is a decline of righteousness, O Arjuna, and rise of unrighteousness, then I manifest myself.
What does manifest mean?
Manifest means to.
Like in the last sloka, we were talking about mani. The word is there in manifest.
Mal?
That was
Man, right. I forgot.
but good correlation. So manifest means to come into existence, to be there, right?
Oh, so in this sloka,
Uncle?
Yeah,
Uncle?
yeah. Tell me, Aditi.
Actually, I have this sloka in one of my books I borrowed from my dad's colleague. This sloka I already know.
Oh, you know this loka? That's really good. See, that's what I'm saying. This is a very powerful. This loka and the next loka. In fact, the next loka is the first loka I ever learned, I think, when I was like 2 or 3 years old or even younger. My elders told me that that was the first sloka that I learned.
are we covering it?
Yes, we will cover it. The Zoom is very annoying sometimes. Okay. So the reason I wanted to do this was
In this sloka, Krishna is talking from the view of Vishnu because every time there's a decline of rank, there adds a planet in it, or when bad is good, he comes as one of the Dashavataras.
that's right. So this is the essence of Dashavataras. So so let us look at the meaning. Yada yada
Like,
means that is yatha. That is yatha. This is yada. Yada means whenever and wherever. Yada yada means whenever and wherever. He means certainly. We came across this word he quite a few times. Certainly. Dharmasya. Yeah, dharma is of duty or religion. Asya means it's a vibhakti pratyaya. It's like it means of. So to say Ramas, you say Ramasya. That means of Rama. So Asya means of. Dharmasya means of religion or of duty.
So it's like to make something a possessive.
Yeah, possessive. Yeah, that's right. Possessive form. Uh, Possessive case. Possessive case. Vibhakti pratyaya is basically the cases. In Sanskrit, the possessive case is asya. So dharmasya means of religion. Glanir means uh, decline or decay. Glanir means decay basically.
So it's like break apart, dissolve.
Yeah, sort of. Bhavati means bhava, yeah, to become, manifested or to become. Bharata. Who is Bharata? Yeah.
India?
Yeah, yeah. Bharata is Arjuna, right? You're good. Bharata is basically Arjuna. Why is he called Bharata?
One of his ancestors is Bharata. I remember
Right.
seeing it in that timeline.
Right. So his ancestor is Bharata. So that is why he is called Bharata. Usually, in many countries, many cultures, uh, the name or the child is named after his ancestors, his
Like-
grandfathers, fathers.
Like Rama is named Raghava, like his grandfather.
Right. Rama, Lord Rama is sometimes called Raghava because his grandfather is Raghu. He's sometimes called um, uh, Ikshvaku Kulatilaka. Ikshvaku is also one of his ancestors. So, so Bharata basically refers to Arjuna because he is a descendant of Bharata. Abhyudhanam. Utthanam means Utthanam means like on the top. Abhyudhanam means
So like Uttishta is
yeah,
get up to
get
the
up,
top,
right,
and
right.
then Uttanam is at the top.
Right. Utthanam, Abhyudhanam means predominance. Adharmasya means predominance means superiority.
Dominance means like rule.
Yeah, and pre is aiding that word. Predominance means ruling kind of thing. Adharmasya means of something that is not dharma or irreligion.
Oh, so I is acting as an opposite.
Yeah. Adharmasya means the opposite of dharma, unrighteousness or irreligion. Tada, at that time. Tada means at that time. Atmanam means
Atma.
myself, self.
It has the
Atma
word
is
Atma in it.
right. Atmanam means self. Srijami means come into existence. Ja means take birth. But here God is, you cannot say that God took birth, right? God has no birth, no death. So that's why the word Srijami means basically manifest, to come into existence. Aham means I. So aham in Sanskrit means I. So that's it's almost one-to-one translates to this meaning, right? So whenever there is a decline of righteousness and the unrighteousness rises, then I manifest myself. So, um, so first is to define dharma. What is dharma? Dharma is religion, duty, religion, and whatever is good for you, and that which elevates a person and helps him to reach the goal of life and attain knowledge and liberation is called dharma. So it should elevate a person, whatever dharma is, it should elevate a person, it should help him reach the goal of life, that's the second, and it should help him or her to attain knowledge and liberation. So those are the key ideas of dharma. That's what you call as dharma and righteousness. And typically the religion preaches those things, right? Religion elevates a man or a person, helps the person to reach the goal of life. That is the duty of religion, right? And it helps you attain supreme knowledge, which leads to Bhavad-veshini. That means lack of another life, another birth. So liberation, basically. So that is dharma. And the opposite of that, one which pulls you down to worldliness, the material desires and all those, all that stuff, not spiritual but material things, and that which is irreligious is adharma, or something that is not righteous. So that is dharma and adharma. So principles of religion are like God's laws, right? So when you live in a country, you have to obey the laws of the country, right?
Right.
So there are so many laws, right? You cannot throw trash on the streets, for instance. That's a law. So the law.
Passports. Like you have to get passports.
Yeah, you have to get, yeah, to go to a different country, you have to go to, yeah, you need a passport and things like that. So religion, principles of religion are basically God's laws. And just like the laws have to be written they have to be documented in a persistent form. And persistent means which exists continuously. Which stays always. So you have to document them, right? So just like that, the principles of religion are stated in the Vedas. So Vedas are our code, and Bhagavad Gita is like the essence of Vedas. So Bhagavad Gita, the laws, the rules that we understand from Bhagavad Gita are like the laws of the religion. Right? And we have to abide by those laws, right? Because Gita is a summary of the Vedas. Whatever is told in Gita is like the summary of Vedas, and it kind of indicates the laws in the Vedas. Now, you go to a country, you go to say Thailand, you don't know the laws of that country, and you do a mistake which contradicts the law. I mean, you are breaking the law because you didn't know the law. Is the government going to excuse you?
No, most likely not.
Yeah, most likely not. Ignorance is not an excuse for obeying the law, for not obeying the law, right? So in Thailand particularly, a lot of Westerners, Europeans, they came to Thailand to see all the beautiful Buddha statues and all that, right? And Thailand is known for Buddha statues. So they take pictures, they sat on Buddha, they stood on Buddha and did all those things. They were actually, they broke the law, because according to Thailand law, you cannot do anything that is disrespectful to Buddha, even statue. Right? First is Buddha for them, and second is their king. So you cannot insult the king, you cannot say anything bad about Buddha or the king. So they broke the law, and they got into trouble because of that. Even though they did not know the law, and they were just having fun and things like that, out of ignorance, they stood on Buddha and all that stuff, they got punished. So ignorance is never an excuse. So same thing with our religious laws also, our dharma also. Just because you don't know dharma is not an excuse to break the dharma, right? So it is very important to first know your dharma, and second to practice that dharma to the fullest extent. So God is saying, give up results. So you have to follow that. Give up desire. You have to follow that. You have to find ways to follow that. And whenever that does not happen, whenever the irreligiousness goes up, like people, the other thing is when you study history in your 7th grade or 8th grade or something, you will study about something called indulgence. Uh, so people have misused the religion. So there are instances where people have misused the religion, not just our religion, but any other religions also. So, yeah, for instance, Hinduism was misinterpreted. So there are some rituals prescribed in the Vedas. So those rituals uh, were not interpreted correctly. So, for instance, this caste system. Caste system is not meant to be the way it is practiced today. In Bhagavad Gita itself, um, there is a reference to what is thought of as caste system, and in the Vedas also there is reference to what people think is caste system. But in the Vedas and in the Bhagavad Gita and everywhere, the caste system referred to is not the caste system that is practiced in Hinduism today. It is not meant to be that. But people are doing crimes, really bad things, in the name of religion and in the name of caste today. So back in those days, um, the Vedas were misinterpreted, the rituals in the Vedas were misinterpreted, and every ritual involved sacrificing animals. So they would do homa, like you have seen homa in temples, right? With a fire, and then yeah, with a fire, and people put ghee and all other edibles in the fire. So that is homa, and during the homa, you are putting edibles, right? Those days, they used to, even today in some places, they used to put animals, and they used to cut animals, kill animals, because animal is also food for them, right? I mean, life, it is still life. So instead of sacrificing food items, they used to sacrifice animals. Even today in Nepal and some temples, I think in India it is banned, but in Nepal it is still allowed. Like I went to the Kali temple there, and they were killing, and there was a line queued up for killing animals, sacrificing goats and chicken and all sorts of things. So, so that is adharma, right? Killing animals. Your religion will never preach violence. It always preach. I mean, there are so many good things that we are learning. Do you think the religion about the Vedas would teach killing animals? No.
No.
No. So it was misinterpreted by people, and a lot of practices, rituals that were given in the Vedas um, were misinterpreted and practiced in the wrong way. And then adharma grew. Then can you guess who came to the earth? God came in the form of who? To
Krishna?
prevent that?
Krishna, Rama, one of the Dashavatara.
Yeah. It is more recent.
So Buddha.
Yeah, Buddha. Buddha came to the world to prevent ignorance, to prevent misinterpretation, to prevent irreligion. Right? He advocated non-violence. See, it is unfortunate people call themselves Buddhists, but they practice all sorts of things, killing animals and all that. But the most important edifice, or the most important rule of Buddhism is non-violence.
Right.
right?
Because Buddha was very non-violent.
Yeah. And how do you know that Buddha is, I think you asked some time back, or we talked about it some time back, but not in full detail. How do we know that Buddha is one of the avatars of Lord Vishnu? So it is because our Puranas have said so. So
They have?
yeah, like Bhagavatam and some other Puranas predicted Buddha and even Kalki. That is why we know that Kalki is going to come. So in Bhagavatam, there is a verse which reads, Buddho namnanjana suta kaikatesu bhavisyati. So what does that mean? Buddho means Buddha. Namna means name, named. Anjana Suta means Anjana is a name, right? Suta means
Uh,
Suta means son. So Anjana Suta means so there will be a person called Buddha who is the son of Anjana, and he will be born in Kaikateshu Bhavishyati. Bhavishyati means in future. Kaikateshu means in Kaikata. Kaikata. So Kaikata is a place in India. Today it is called Gaya. But in the Vedas, the place Gaya is referred to as Kaikata. So in Bhagavatam, it has been predicted that Buddha is going to be born as the son of Anjana, and he will appear in Gaya. Kaikatesu, Gaya. And very true to that, Buddha was of course born as Gautama, and his place of birth is debated, but now it is more or less accepted. Even UNESCO, United Nations, accepted that Buddha is actually born in Nepal. I actually visited his place of birth.
really?
Yeah, Lumbini. It's called Lumbini.
So it's not in Gaya?
That's what I'm saying. Gautama was born in Lumbini. Even assuming Lumbini is not too far from Gaya anyway. Gaya is a place in Bihar, and Lumbini to Gaya is around 280 miles, so it's not too far off. Um, so 280 miles is less than not even the distance of Los Angeles, right? It's much closer. So it's not too far off. From San Jose to Los Angeles is around 352 or around
It's 6 hours.
Yeah, 6
and
hours.
This
Yeah.
one would only be 4.5.
Yeah, this will be like 4 hours or something like that. So it's not too far anyway. But what is important is, though Gautama is born in Lumbini, even if you accept that Gautama is born in Lumbini, Nepal, he became Buddha in Gaya.
Really?
Yeah, he meditated under a tree called Bodhisattva.
Oh, so he got called
Yeah.
Buddha.
Yeah, he got enlightened in a place called Gaya under a tree called Bodhisattva. So the prediction came true, right?
When were the Puranas written?
They
At the
were
beginning
written,
of the world?
yeah, long back. We don't know that. That's all debatable. People give their own interpretation, but let us think that the Puranas were written much earlier.
Like before the Dashavataras?
Before some of the Dashavataras. At least Buddha was predicted. Buddha and Kalki were predicted. Like, because it says Bhavishyati. Bhavishyati means in future. Buddho namnanjana sutaha kaikateshu bhavishyati. That means Buddha, who is the son of Anjana, will appear in Kaikateshu. Kaikateshu is Gaya. And true to that statement, Buddha got enlightened in Gaya. The person Buddha.
The name of Buddha.
Yeah. He became Buddha because it comes from Buddhi and Bodhisattva and all that stuff. So he became Buddha only after he got enlightened, and that was in Gaya. So the prediction came true. And he came to end some bad practices in the religion, like animal slaughter and Vedic rituals being misinterpreted, and some irreligious practices taking control, right? Uh, so he confirmed that Vedas preach non-violence, right? Non-violence is the primary teaching of Lord Buddha. Um, so, um, so we know Buddha, we know Rama, they all came for a purpose. And by the way, Gaya, this place Gaya is, of course, it's a Vedic place. I mean, Vedas have referred to that place as Kaikata. But Gaya is also noted for in Ramayana also. How is it noted in Ramayana? Gaya is the place where Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana came to offer. Remember?
Oh, when they came to offer in the forest, they came to offer the guru.
No. So Rama follows his dad's words and leaves for the forest, right?
Right.
Then midway through, he comes to know that his father died. Dasharatha becomes upset. His beloved son is gone to the forest. So out of that sorrow, he basically passes away. And when Rama comes to know about his father's passing away, he goes to Gaya. Gaya and Ayodhya are quite close. They're in the north part of India. So he goes to Gaya.
Is Gaya a forest?
No, it's a place. It's a kingdom.
Oh.
It's basically, it's about a few kilometers, actually 70 miles. So it's like going to maybe Gilroy or a little down.
Oh, that's not a lot.
Yeah, it's from Patna. Patna is the capital city of Bihar, and it is just about 70 miles away from the capital city of Bihar, even today. So Gaya is a very holy place. It's a very religious place, even today. So Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana, they go to Gaya to do the rituals for the departed soul. Like we all do rituals to our grandfather and great grandfather and all that, right? We do that with the flour.
Right.
With the flour, we make those. They are called pindas. So, and then they are offered.
Oh, and then we put them in like the trees and water.
Yeah. They have to be put in the flowing water, actually. So Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita go to Gaya to do the Pinda Pradhanam. So that is the other reason why Gaya is very famous. And the other thing is, how do you take, I mean, these days in India, people started claiming themselves as Kalki, because the Vedas and the Puranas have predicted that there will be a Kalki. People have started saying, I am Kalki and all that stuff.
They have?
They are fooling people, basically. And they were some of them have been put in jail also. The government put them in jail because they were cheating people. So how do we know that a person is an avatar?
Because they have the mindfulness of God.
Yeah. And there is also rumor that coronavirus is a avatar as a Kalki. Kalki is come in the form of coronavirus because it's destroying people. So how do we know that coronavirus is not an avatar?
Because it doesn't have life.
It has life. It is from our RNA, right? It's from our protein.
It has no soul.
Not that way, but yeah. But basically, Vedas and Puranas have described avatars.
So,
yeah. So we cannot accept anyone as an avatar. Just like that. Of course, the avatar may not be born in India, essentially. So that's not a criteria. But the Puranas have told who is avatar and who is not. And the other criteria is in every avatar, Vedic principles are explained by action or in words or both. Like you take Lord Rama, his actions are all indicative of the Vedas. Just like the Vedas have prescribed, Lord Rama has acted, right? That is, he has explained Vedas by his actions. And who explained it in words? The Vedic principles?
Krishna.
Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, we are learning, right? Or both. Buddha explained through his actions and also by his words, right? So that is another criterion. So the avatar explains the principles by action and words. And another characteristic of the avatars is that actually Krishna explains in one of the previous slokas. In the 4th chapter, I think the 2nd or the 3rd sloka, Lord Krishna explains that he remembers all his past lives. See, people can't even remember what happened yesterday, right? What they did yesterday, right? But Lord Krishna remembers from the times immemorial, like from the time Surya is born, Vaivasvata Manvantari Vaivasva is one of our ancestors. Surya's son is Ikshvaku. So Vaivasva, Manu, Ikshvaku.
He remembers all those people.
Yeah, he remembers all those people. He remembers that he transferred the knowledge to them. Then Arjuna asks, you are born only a few years back. How did you transfer knowledge to all these people?
Right.
Then Krishna says that what you are seeing is only me, but I remember all my past lives.
Does he remember all of
How many?
Vishnu's past lives?
Yeah,
Or
so that's what he says.
Wait, do we know if any of those past lives matched with one of the past 545 past lives that Buddha saw?
Yeah, Buddha also saw them, right? So we are not sure, but Buddha's lives are called Jataka tales, right?
Right.
So we don't know if Buddha told people that he knows himself as Krishna, but basically all past lives are remembered by these people. Buddha remembered all his past lives. Krishna remembered all his past lives. So that is another criterion, right? So so this sloka tells you that when God is going to come to earth, he is not going to come just like that without purpose. He will come. In Telugu, there is a saying, Urekararu Mahanubhavulu. So great people do not come just like that, right? So this sloka confirms that God does not come just like that. He comes with a purpose, and that purpose is when irreligion takes over religion, right?
And there's a decline of righteousness,
Yeah.
righteousness, and a rise of unrighteousness.
Right. Okay, so it's been for the last 2 sessions we did not cover machine learning, so let us go back and continue our discussion about machine learning. Last time we talked about machine learning was the nearest neighbors, right? K nearest neighbors.
I have would it in K nearest neighbors? So would it matter if we changed it to any other variable such as X or N because those are more common?
It is called K for a reason. K is actually a constant. It's not really a variable. Variables are denoted by X, Y, Z, U, W. and constants are typically denoted starting with K. Because K is K and constant. They rhyme. They're so
They have
that's
the
why.
same sound.
Yeah. So K there is not a variable but a constant. You determine that constant beforehand. You decide whether you want to look at 2 neighbors or 3 neighbors or 4 neighbors. Typically, it's an odd number, right? So that
Right.
there's no tie. So it's more used like a constant. So in the next topic, so in the KNN, we already knew the labels, right? Man and woman and all that thing, they were already
Right.
known. Based on that, the neighbors' labels are unknown. So that's why we were able to predict the label of the new data. But there could be cases when the labels are not known. The data items are not already known. So in that case is called unsupervised learning. So unsupervised learning. So what is supervised learning? You remember?
Supervised learning is the learning with already some data provided, I think.
Yeah, when there's already data provided, like animals are already labeled as dogs and cats and all that stuff, and you show the small infant a dog and say that it's a dog, show the cat and say that it's a cat.
And
Like
then
that.
ask what's
Yeah.
the next one.
Yeah, that is
You use
supervised.
it.
Now you grow up, you are 18-year-old, you have to stay in a hostel, you don't have parents monitoring you every minute, right? You're on your own. Then who is going to tell you what is good and what is bad? Good and bad are labels. Yourself, right?
Right.
Yeah, yourself. So you're unsupervised, basically, right?
Right, but we're people, so we can use the knowledge that we have gained from other experiences and use them for the
That's right.
experience that
Good.
we have.
Yes.
But machine learning doesn't have those many
That's what
experiences,
we'll see. That's what we are
or
coming
else it
to.
would be supervised.
So you know supervised and unsupervised learning, right? So unsupervised, the labels are not given. Good and bad are not already told to you. But if but you have observed so much of world, you know what characteristics constitute good and what characteristics constitute bad to some extent. So if there are a bunch of good people, good students in your class, and there's another student who tries to make friends with you, you know that this person is in a bunch of a group which is comprised of all good students. Then what do you think about this person?
He'll also be good.
Yeah, he'll also be good, right?
And his neighbor.
Yeah. So so even though the labels are not known, you can identify a person based on the person's neighbors, right? So in class also, in your class now, you're grown up, you're 18 years old, you have gone to the university college education, you are staying by yourself. Now you observe a lot of people, and you often see that the people are formed into groups, right? So so they're groups. So you identify groups based on the similarity of the thoughts and all that stuff, right? So just like that, the machine learning also identifies the data points based on their characteristics, features, right? So so these are all the points. There are some red points, there are some green points, and there are some light green points. Now, the goal of unsupervised learning one form of unsupervised learning is called clustering. Clusters means groups, you all know that, right? So we want to find, given all these data points, we don't know that these are red, these are green, and these are light green. Just to show, just to explain the concept to you, I colored them differently. But in reality, these are all just points given to you. Now we want to identify the natural clusters in these groups. So initially they are all just points. Now you have to identify the natural clusters. Which of them are close? So how do you do that? That is the problem of unsupervised learning. How do you find clusters in a bunch of points?
Well, if they're separated like they are now, it's a little bit easier. You can like make the average distance between 2 points, and if there's any 2 points that are more than that average distance, then you can tell that they're not part of the same group.
Yes, that's right. So when the distance between two people is small, you can think of the features as the way they think. So what are some other people features of the students, for instance? The way they dress up, the way they talk, the way they behave. Those are all the features. So each of the features can be converted into a number and then plotted against the axis. These are axes, right? So this point represents maybe four on the x-axis, 3 on the y-axis, and things like that. X-axis could be the scores that the person got, the grades that the person get, and the y-axis could be his his positivity. If he's very positive, then give a score of 10. If he's completely negative, give a score of -10. That kind of thing. Positivity could be y-axis. Like that, you can plot the characteristics of a person, of a student, across multiple axes. So when you plot, you will get points like this. Remember, we plotted the height and weight and all that stuff. Just like that, you can plot. Now, based on the features, we can determine similarity by the distance, right? So we basically find the distance between the points. And if the distance, the goal of clustering in mathematics, you're almost there, but more precise definition is when the distance between clusters should be as much as possible. It should be maximum. And the distance between the points within a cluster should be as minimum as possible. That is the goal, right?
What are the 3 lines? Do those have a meaning?
What 3 lines?
Like behind, yeah, those 3 lines.
So these are the features. So this feature could mean the score in math or the studies. You can give a score for how good the student is in studies. This axis could mean how good or how positive the student is. And the third axis could be
How they look.
yeah, maybe how good they look and things like that. And the fourth axis could be something else, so on and so forth. So you plot the points. Each point represents a person across all these axes. And so you have to group the persons together. So this is students. And what is an application of this kind of setup? What is the advantage of grouping points together?
Because it's quicker than normal, and it helps you cluster.
No, that's right. But there should be some really very big uses. Otherwise, we are not going to do all this stuff, right? We are not going to learn. So some of the uses are, for instance, how does marketing work? Do you know how marketing works? It's a huge theory. It's covered in when I was doing my MBA. We had a course on marketing. So there are many techniques in marketing, and one of those techniques is to segment the customer base.
Segment like a piece.
Yeah.
Like, see who wants this and who wants that.
Right. Why do you have to do that? What's the advantage of segmenting the customers?
So then you can see how many of one object you make.
Yeah.
To see who is interested in what and what
Yeah.
you can do with that person.
Yeah.
Right. So long back, when I was a small child, there was only one toothpaste. I mean, there was like just a toothpaste. We used to call toothpaste a toothpaste. Now you have a toothpaste for small children. You have a toothpaste for slightly other elder kids and all that stuff. So what's the advantage of that? Because toothpaste is toothpaste, right? I mean, for you or for me, the teeth are the same.
Right.
Yeah, but for kids, the toothpaste would be sweeter and yummier, so they
Right.
could like it. And then for elders, they don't even care, so it would be
Yeah,
spicy.
and
Right.
adults' teeth are
So see how
stronger.
they divided, how the market got divided based on kids, and they divided the market into kids market, youth market, and adults market.
What does it mean?
Youth means slightly elder children, older children, right? So they divided the market. The advantage of dividing the market is they can target products exclusively to this market.
Making better
Like,
products.
Yeah.
like there's sections for wood and a house door, like Home Depot. There are sections with wood.
Yeah,
and
that is
there's-
classifying, but this has greater advantage. Like you said, suppose they make a bubblegum toothpaste. You are walking with your parents in a store and you see bubblegum toothpaste. You always wanted the moment you see, oh, bubblegum toothpaste, I want it, I want it.
But isn't that somewhat creating desire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the whole that is what is the purpose, right? I mean the world is
That's the
unfortunately working like that, and that is why some people are thinking that coronavirus is the avatar. Because coronavirus is destroying that religion, that desire, right? Now we have to live with lesser desires, right? We cannot go out and we cannot use resources as we like and all that. So the religion has reduced with coronavirus. So that's the reason why some people think that it is avatar of Vishnu, but I don't think it is, right? So the idea here is segmenting the market has many advantages. You can make people have made billions by dividing and ruling. It's called divide and rule. You divide the market into segments and then cater to those segments specifically. So kids market, you make bubblegum toothpaste and kids start getting interested and they ask for bubblegum toothpaste, then the market for toothpaste will grow, right?
It's a technique.
It's a technique. So this is what is segmentation. So you segment the customers based on their likes and dislikes. Each feature could be a like, and then you based on that you segment the customers and target uh, uh, products to that particular segment, right? So that is the advantage of clustering. So the goal of clustering is to reduce the distance between the points within a cluster and make sure that the distance between clusters is as maximum as possible. So if the clusters are as apart as possible, then they are distinct. Yeah, then they are distinct clusters. If they're very close to each other, then we don't know if it's the right clustering or not.
And it wouldn't be much of a difference, so it wouldn't really matter.
Right. So the goal is to maximize the distance between clusters. Distance between the clusters is called intercluster distance, and distance within the cluster is called intra-cluster distance. Intra means inside. Inter means across. So that is the goal. So in the next class or the next to next class, we'll see how this can be done. Okay, this is the unsupervised learning, right? So we'll see how this can be done in the next class. Okay, so let us then end the class for today with our prayer. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. Samasta sanmangalani santu. Okay, let us close the recording.